Home sellers, are you feeling the pressure? Do you feel like the whole real estate industry is against you and is expecting you to pay buyer's agent commissions? I'm Andrew Gavin. I'm a licensed mortgage lender for California, and I sell real estate here in San Diego. In my opinion, from what I'm reading and researching, it absolutely seems like the whole industry believes that you as a seller need to continue paying buyer agent commission, which is, in my opinion, crazy, because the whole reason this came up at all is because home sellers got together and sued everybody and won about not paying all this commission. So at the moment, people want you to pay. Your listing agent probably suggested you do. I 100% believe that offering an incentive like a seller concession amount, a offer to pay buyer's agent commission, both of those are very powerful negotiating and marketing tools. But they need to be negotiated at the time that you get your offer. And I want to give you some ideas about ways that you can maximize the whole transaction in your favor. I honestly believe that these changes, they give you as the seller superpowers in negotiating. Now, I say that, and I'm talking about when we're in a normal seller's market. If things change and inventory doubles or triples, and no matter what, you might have to do more to get your house sold or take less when selling your house because there's just so much more competition. We're not there yet. That's a whole different scenario. But buyers, their agents, and listing agents are all saying you should pay this. Now, buyers are also being asked to sign a document saying that if you as the seller don't pay, I'm willing to pay. Before you agree to any compensation, you need to see that document. You need to get the documents that show what the buyer and the buyer's agent agreed to, because the amount on that document is the maximum amount you are meant to pay. Now, you can offer other money, and it can be used however they want, because they're requiring you to have this document in the contract that says the buyer is agreeing to pay the buyer's agent whatever, a number, $5,000. And then in your offer that you accepted, you agreed to pay the buyer's agent $5,000. Those documents are going to need to be in escrow, being processed with every other document. This is a huge advantage for you as a seller, because the buyer and the buyer's agent have to come to an agreement. And that buyer might not have 2, 3, 4% of the purchase price they're looking at to pay that agent. So they might agree to only a small flat fee, a small percent of the sale price. It could be a lot less than you're being advised to offer. And that's great, because that's all you would have to agree to. Now, if you do agree to pay anything, even after you've seen this document and you've decided, I'm okay paying this amount, but I want something in return. And in my opinion, that's absolutely fair. And I believe that this request to pay buyers concessions is the exact same money that a buyer would ask for if they were asking you to do repairs to your house. So consider that when you sell your house and working with requests for compensation, and realizing that most every buyer is going to ask for an inspection, and there could be things on that inspection that they feel you should pay for as the seller. So let's use this scenario. You agree to sell your house for $700,000. You've offered 3% concessions, and the buyer's agent comes, they bring you an offer, they're offering $700,000, and they're asking for 2% to be paid to cover the buyer agent commission. That seems like a fair price. It's actually $7,000 less than what you had previously thought you would end up paying. So good. It's a good deal for you, right? Okay, great. Now, Let's say they turn around and they ask for, there's some weird problem with your house. Who knows what it is? And they ask for another 7 grand. Okay. Well, you were going to give 3 anyways. So now we're back up to 3 because you've given 2 that they paid their buyer's agent. And now they're asking for 1 more, which makes it simple. And you've been okay with those numbers before you even received this offer. But you're still giving up $21,000 in this scenario. Here's the thing. You've been negotiable. You agreed to give that buyer $14,000, 2% of the purchase price. And at that point, you've given someone that you've never met before $14,000. You have no control over what they did with it. And in their mind, they're paying their agent. Okay. But now they want 7 more grand for you. And this is a big problem. And as a seller, you have options. As your agent, I would suggest that we start negotiating. Look, Mr. Buyer, I appreciate your concern about these repairs, but I've given you $14,000, which is double what you believe these repairs are worth. I don't feel like I need to give you any more money. Now, they could walk away. There is no language that says you have to pay for repairs, but there is a contingency, an inspection contingency that is probably not signed off on yet. So now we go into one of the things that I think is a item that you could potentially negotiate if you're willing to pay the compensation that is probably going to go to the buyer's agent. Buyers come in and they say, I want 2% for my buyer's agent commission. Great. We'll accept your offer and pay that amount of money if you're willing to make your EMD money hard at time of execution. You're willing to waive your inspection contingency. You're willing to waive your appraisal contingency. You're willing to shorten the escrow from 30 down to 20 days. You have opportunities to strengthen the sell side of the contract if you're gonna pay a buyer's agent's commission. A lot of times, the ideas of these different negotiations are compartmentalized. We're negotiating the offer right now. And in that offer, we're accepting to pay this commission, 2%, 14 grand. And then a week, 10 days later, I'm being asked for another 7, as if it's a different compartment in this transaction. But in my opinion, it's not. It's all one big transaction. And you as a seller, there's no reason that you need to keep dishing out money to the buy side. At some point, they've got to step up and buy the house that they want. If they can't afford your house and you absolutely need to sell it, and this seems like the right time and everything's working, and financially it makes sense, you have the opportunity to move forward, agree to their terms. But I caution you to agree to their amounts at any negotiation on the first run, especially if you're actually in escrow and it's just you negotiating with the buyer based on terms of the contract, condition of the property, all those things. When you're in this one-on-one negotiation, you absolutely have a lot of strength. That buyer has put down EMD money and they've started a process to purchase your house. They want it probably as much as you want to sell it and move on to wherever you're going. So you have a lot of leverage, and they want something very important. And the agent that's working for them is absolutely concerned, am I going to get paid on this deal or not? How much am I going to get paid? Am I getting 14 grand? Am I going to get 10? Am I okay with 10? If I've advised my buyers to go back and ask for another 7 grand or higher after they've agreed to 14 grand, am I as a buyer's agent actually helping the transaction move forward? My feeling is they're not. So why would we as sellers, as listing agents, reward that type of behavior? We're paying them and they're doing exactly what their fiduciary duty is, defend their client. That potentially could cost you another $7,000. Now, again, every deal is different and depends on the timing of sale, the competition in the market, your personal situation. If the numbers make sense, absolutely move forward. But there's a good chance if they ask for 7,000 in repairs after you've given them 14, they might take 2,000. They might take none. If they move forward, we're now potentially 2 to 3 weeks into escrow, and they're still coming at you asking for things, asking for more money. So that's a good sign that they're still interested. But think about this, using the same scenario. If you had agreed to pay the buyer's agent's 2% commission, but you said they have to waive their inspection or they have to waive their appraisal, which is probably more important. So let's say they agreed to waive their inspection contingency. You wouldn't be in this situation right now. They wouldn't be asking for $7,000 more because you've already given them 14. So the way that I would word that, in your counter offer back, it says seller willing to pay buyer 14 grand, 2% in concessions at closing, covering any fees and any repairs needed for the property. And that kind of washes your hands of it. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't come back and ask for more. It also doesn't mean that they couldn't cancel for some other reason. But you've now protected yourself from them coming back asking for more. And you've done it at the same time that you're giving them 14 grand. So that's kind of a fair trade if we're looking at it. These new rules have kind of changed the timeline and the situations of how things are negotiated. And I honestly believe you as a seller have a lot of power in this scenario. I feel like these rules have given you superpowers because you have so many opportunities, because there used to be one thing that the buyer wanted, and that was your house. Now they want two things. The second thing is they want you to pay their buyer's agent commission. And guess what? So does their buyer's agent. So that agent is conflicted. I've got to do what I can to protect my client and get this thing closed. So when you're offering to agree to pay their commission, that is a very important time of the negotiation when you're about to give up thousands of dollars in concessions. That is a point that you want to take some of these contingencies off the table. Get that EMD money to go hard. Shorten your time frame. You're about to give up thousands of dollars of money, and you want to use that timing to your advantage. And if your listing agent that you're working with, they're not offering you these ideas, they might not be the best agent for you. So one of the things that I want you to consider is the whole transaction from receiving the offer till close of escrow. These contingency timelines, the parts of the process could create opportunities for you to potentially be asked to give up money, as well as it could be opportunities for you to tighten up the whole transaction in your favor. And as I said, whenever you are being asked or considering to give money to the buy side, look at what you can take away from them as well. If we're playing chess and you're about to give up a rook, do you want to take out one pawn, or would you like to take out their queen at the same time? Because if you can give up 14 grand and remove contingencies, get their EMD money to go hard in case this thing falls apart, you and your agent have made incredible progress in strengthening the offer in your favor, as well as probably ensuring that this deal is going to close. To close this thing off, I think the simple thing that I want to point out is, sellers, you should not feel obligated to pay this commission. Buyers are hiring a agent to represent them. They're hiring someone that's offering to do a service. In the past, that has also been negotiable, but it was done in a way that it definitely seemed like it was free to buyers because it never came out of their money at all. But it does make sense. It still absolutely makes sense to offer to be negotiable about compensation and concessions to get more offers. But as I said, when negotiating and giving up money, consider what pieces of the transaction you can take away from them to create a stronger transaction that's in your favor. If you have more questions about this and listing your house, if you're here in San Diego, please shoot me a message. If you have questions about loans and purchasing, I'd love to help you there too. I'm a dual licensed hybrid agent. I can do loans as well as real estate, which puts me in a very unique position because I see a lot more of a transaction than most single agents for MLOs do. I have a lot of experience in negotiating things like this, and these new rules, in my opinion, have benefits for both sides. But sellers, I don't believe that it's necessarily your burden to fund the whole buy side of the real estate industry. And I think the lawsuit that created this change and these updates should be a reminder to you that a lot of other sellers didn't feel like they should have had to pay those commissions. Have more questions, please reach out.